Lenin, the greatest revolutionary in history, why did he win? What insights did he have? There were many revolutionaries. Many of his peers died, but he didn't, and he succeeded. Lenin is born in 1870 in Russia. What is happening in Russia at that time? Russia has a Tsar. What is a Tsar? A Tsar is a Caesar. Why do you have Caesars in Russia? Fun fact, the reason is because Moscow considered itself Third Rome. Why? So Rome 1, the original Rome, was the capital of the Roman Empire, but it fell in around 500 AD. Then they're like, okay, we need a new location. The Roman Empire really just split. And so they moved Rome into Constantinople, which now is Istanbul in Turkey. But then 1,000 years later, that fell too. So the unifying idea of the Roman Empire was Christianity. And Russians said, okay, both Romes fell. We are the last bastion of Orthodox Christianity. So Moscow is going to be the third Rome. So we're going to call our guy Caesar, or in a Russian way, we'll call him Tsar. Etymologically, they're the same thing. Fuck kings, our guy is Caesar, our guy is above kings. So, 1870, very easy date to remember, 1870. What is happening? You have the Tsar who actually freed the Russian slaves. They used to be called serfs. He freed the slaves, but the slaves are still pretty unhappy. They owe a bunch of money to their previous owners, and so people are unhappy. People are just generally unhappy in those times. Not a very happy period, but basically everyone's trying to kill the Tsar as always. However, now it's becoming kind of a punk rock type of thing, especially among the youth. So one of the people who is one of those guys is not Lenin, Lenin's brother. And so he gets pretty unhappy about the state of the empire. He thinks that the Tsar is very unfair. And he says, okay, I'm gonna change the system. I'm gonna kill the Tsar. So he organizes a little group, gets caught, gets killed. Lenin doesn't like that. So Lenin is younger at the time. Lenin is around 17. His brother is actually a little older. Lenin is 17. He says, okay, my brother wanted to change the system. It didn't work. He got killed. Something's wrong. He died for no reason. Nothing happened. And even if he actually would have succeeded, which people have successfully killed the previous Tsar, a new Tsar would have just popped up, so it wouldn't change anything. So Lenin is like, okay, we're gonna think this through again. Let's come up with some new ideas. And he's like, okay, so what you really need is not just hype, but you need an institution. What's that? It's a trend that is enforced. A protest based on hype, it happens, it fizzles out. Something that is enforced, you can cycle through the people, you can cycle through the leaders, but the actual system stays because it's enforced. This is a key moment to understanding all of Lenin, is that anything that is based on hype, he sees as amateur, sloppy, emotional, and it doesn't work. So his whole idea is that you have to build a machine that will replace the old machine. You can't just wishful think your way into collapsing the current regime and then trying to figure out something later, because that's what everyone did beforehand and it didn't work. Lenin is in his 20s right now, and he is scheming. He's organizing a bunch of shit. He's getting people together. He's trying to mobilize factory workers, trying to mobilize a force against the Tsar's regime. Scheming, goes to jail. Goes to jail for 3 years. During that, first of all, writes his shit in milk. So he starts writing books, and he starts writing in milk so that the guards can't see him. The guards see him, and they send him to Siberia. They send him to Siberia. Turns out, Siberia is actually not that bad. He has a house somehow. He's getting some clout. He's getting, he's known in the circles. The government is kind of like, okay, this guy, there's something about him. We should keep an eye on him. So he gets a stipend, like he has money basically in Siberia. He has a maid. Very strange, but basically, yeah, he lives a pretty chill life in Siberia, the chillest of lives that you could. Finds a wife, and mostly just reads and writes. That's all he does, pretty much for most of his life, but especially in his 20s, just reads, writes, and starts to get sort of the buzz, starts to get the recognition. People start to listen to him because he's a good orator. He explains things clearly. And one thing that he uses Siberia for, actually, is he gets to play off his ideas, his political stand-up on really farmers and criminals who get sent to Siberia. So he has to really simplify his message. He has to be really punchy, and he sees what resonates with the common folk. Because in St. Petersburg, he's in libraries, he talks to the intellectuals and all those. But in Siberia, the reverse. Same time, his peers who didn't get arrested back in St. Petersburg are scheming, continuing the thing, and actually organized the first social democratic party ever. And they rent a little house, they get in a room, all 9 of them, and again, all go to jail immediately. Lenin hears about this, he's like, oh my, this has to stop. We have to get professional, we have to stop being sloppy. This is amateur hour, like we really have to, like this is stupid. And he says, okay, fuck this, I'm going to Switzerland. The classic revolutionary destination. Goes to Switzerland because he says, okay, basically I can't organize anything in Russia because I get jailed immediately and I'm banned from every fucking city in Russia. And I want to do things while police is not breathing down my neck. So goes to Switzerland, goes to a bunch of, like, goes to Warsaw, London, Switzerland, ends up in Switzerland finally, and starts a newspaper. A political newspaper, sort of an underground, anti-Tsar political newspaper movement, really. Mostly, the whole point of that newspaper is really to just recruit people, because obviously you need people. He's building an institution, the enforced trend, right? That something is trendy, but you need to enforce it so it stays in one place. So he says, okay, we need professionals, first of all, because all of this amateur shit is stupid. So if you smuggle the newspapers into Russia, if you're actually professional enough not to get caught, if you know all the tricks to that, that means you're serious about it. And you're also putting your life on the line, really, because at that time, they wouldn't just jail people, they would just pretty much kill them. So you're putting your life on the line, you're doing it full time, it's not a fucking hobby, and you're serious about it. You are professional, you are not sloppy, you're a professional. And obviously the people who are smuggling his thing and promoting it in Russia, obviously they're on board, but also it means that they are disciplined and competent, and they are on the short list to actually join his party later. And so he keeps writing his newspaper. It's called a spark in Russian, and a spark for a movement, kind of like it's nice, it's cute. And so he reads a lot, writes a lot, obviously all of the, like, his communist stuff, so like Marx, Hegel, and Hegel's more political, the Engels. He says, okay, so the workers are not gonna take over the government themselves. Like they will stop at some point, they will ask for, hey, we want to work less, we want to have more money, but they're not gonna overthrow the government and install a new system. You need a cadre for that. Cadre is a specialized group. You need a tight. You basically need a hardcore startup. You need a team of Navy SEALs who can actually execute the plan and have a plan to begin with. And this idea actually divides the social democratic movement into two. And one party says basically everyone's invited. Even if you're tangentially into the thing of like overthrowing the government, helping the industrial class, you're in. For Lenin, it's the reverse. Nobody's invited. Fuck you, go kill yourself. Either you prove that you're gonna die for the cause or you're out. We don't invite anyone. We're a diamond that only adds diamonds to its core. No fluff. So, what does he name that party? You might have heard of the term Bolsheviks. So this is where Bolsheviks come into the picture. He names his party Bolsheviks, and he names the other party, he actually gives the name to the other party as Mensheviks. And it's also like a sort of a psychological thing because Bolshe in Russian means more or a majority, even though he was the minority, and Mensheviks means the minority. So it's sort of a framing thing. Even in the name itself, he positioned the party as the majority to attract people to the winning side, even though it barely had any members because he expelled everyone. So the movement is split. Lenin is 30, still working on this institution, building a system that will replace the old system. However, the other side is really itching for the revolution. They're like, just let's. Are we there yet? From the Shrek, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? No! Are we there yet? Yes. Really? No!
Lenin is like, yo, guys, wait, we need to build the thing. What the fuck? Just calm down, sit down. And now it's 1905, so Lenin is 35, he's still building the thing, building the institution, just organizing, just waiting for the right moment, making sure that the system is in place, making sure that he pretty much has a parallel state ready to replace the Tsarist regime. The other guys are just fucking hype. There are protests, let's go on motion. And so 1905 happens. And Lenin opens the newspaper and reads, Japan wins war against Russia. Russia suffers humiliating defeat and people are in revolt.
Ah! Are we there yet?
Yes.
Oh, finally!
Because Russia is an empire, it's supposed to crush Japan, but it didn't. So people are very unhappy because like, what the fuck, we're fighting, we're not even winning. We're like sacrificing all this infrastructure, transport, we're using trains to ship weapons instead of grain, we're like starving. What the fuck? And so people go and protest against the Tsar, but they do it in a peaceful way. They still actually kind of love the Tsar. It's kind of like a fatherly figure. But the peasants, they mostly see the Tsar as someone who's on their side, but just doesn't know. If he only knew how we're living, he would understand and he would fix everything. He just doesn't know. So they go to the Winter Palace, the Hermitage. It was one of the most beautiful buildings in the world in St. Petersburg, and they do a peaceful march. They have like the photos of Tsar, like, hey, and the Tsar is not even in the Winter Palace, but the soldiers start shooting at the crowd and they kill a bunch of people. Not a good PR stunt for the Tsar, and so people are like, wait, what? We thought we're like on the same side. What the fuck? You're like shooting us. And so people are very unhappy. And they are like, okay, fuck it, we're just gonna overthrow the government. And they go, and so they tried, and the Mensheviks, the non-Lenin party, are like, okay, let's go, this is our chance, fuck it, let's go. Lenin is like, oh my God, this is gonna fail. This is gonna fail, first of all, but also it's gonna set the whole movement back because everyone's gonna be killed. Because once they fail, because it's all based on hype, the regime is gonna bend, but it's gonna go back. It's not gonna bend and collapse, it's gonna restore itself because you need something to replace the thing. And also there's not enough tension. It's just like they lost the war, but it's like the economy is still kind of intact. There's not the institution is not collapsing. And Lenin is stuck in Switzerland. He can't even go to fucking Russia because he's gonna get arrested. So he's like, okay, this is really bad. And turns out he's right. So this is 1905, he's 35. And he eventually goes back to Russia somehow, but it's already too late. The revolution is kind of over. This is like the first revolution, because there's two. And so Lenin does what he can. He writes articles, just tries to like do the remote working type thing. He's like, okay, maybe I can like direct some structure over the chaos that's happening in St. Petersburg. He's the original remote worker. But it fails. It doesn't work, and he knew that it wasn't going to work. It does a couple things, but mostly it actually validates his whole idea that this emotional thing, we lost the war, fuck it, let's go overthrow the government, it doesn't work. Setback. Lenin is stuck in Switzerland. He's 35. He's screaming at the fucking wall, at the window, because he's like, yeah, just like, let me out.
Let me in.
And so this really starts a pretty fucked period for Lenin, because at this point, 35, has been building his thing for however many years, had a sort of a semi-try at doing the thing that he wanted, like his dream, the revolution. He kind of missed it because he was stuck in Switzerland. At this point, most revolutionaries, they either quit politics or they quit life because they were just killed. A new character is gonna soon enter the scene. And you might recognize him because he's actually way more famous than Lenin. And that is baby Stalin. So Stalin comes into the picture. He's actually younger than Lenin by like 8 years. The way that Lenin recruits Stalin into the Bolsheviks, into the tight Navy SEAL team, is that Stalin performs the biggest bank robbery in history at that time in Georgia, in Tbilisi. He steals like $8 million by today's buying power and just gives it to Lenin. He's like, okay, I trust the cause, here's the money, go do your thing. And mostly it is kind of part of the plan. Lenin was like, okay, guys, what the fuck, we need money, we need, like, we need to get serious, like let's do this shit properly, like, we need money, we need structure, institution, all that shit. So the money, Lenin, not exactly Johnny Depp, so he can't really do the rich, older woman patronage type thing, so he does the second best thing. He starts robbing banks. Mostly because, first of all, revolutionaries don't get paid by default. You're banned from everything. You run an underground organization. Especially in his case, everyone was really full-time, like more than full-time. And people need to survive. So he was like, okay, I need money. We're fucked either way. Okay, fuck it, let's just rob banks, I guess. So he tells baby Stalin to, and by baby Stalin I mean Stalin, like the Stalin. He was called Koba back in the day. That was his nickname. It was like from one of like his books that he read about like a rebel. They rob a bunch of banks. Other people are like, what the fuck is like, what is this party? Like they exclude everyone, they rob banks, they're so fucking extreme. Like, it's just weird. Like, it's kind of like a, like it was avant-garde, but it wasn't popular. Like, it wasn't like, like I'm ahead of the curve. He was like seen as just a fucking weirdo. And this is where the building years begin. He uses the money that he got from robbing banks and starts building. He got his little investment, like his little VC fund, his little angel investment from Koba, the Stalin. He says, fuck reconciliation, we're purists, and fuck the amateurs that dilute the professional revolutionary corps. We are not going to be friends with all these fuckers who want to include everyone. We're going to build a cadre of specialists, of professionals. We're going to wait for the right moment and then strike, and then replace the old system with a new one that we've been building for the fucking 20 years. And then it happens. 1914. The First World War. It begins. Why? And by who? So Germany attacks everyone pretty much. Why? They attack France because they already had a war with France like 40 years ago, and Germany actually took Alsace-Lorraine, which is a big chunk of France. They just took it. There's fuck you, France. Alsace-Lorraine was actually very good because a lot of really good shit was there, like industrial stuff and resources and all that. It was actually a very good part of France. So Germany was very happy. France was obviously, their whole foreign politics was just, okay, we need to fucking destroy Germany, or at least like get the land back, because fuck them. Germany was rising as a superpower. Britain was already a superpower, so they didn't like Britain. They were already afraid of them. They were afraid of Russia, of France because of the Alsace-Lorraine. But they're also kind of afraid of Russia. Why? Russia was actually kind of fucked at the time, but they saw the potential. They saw that Russia was industrializing very, very quickly, comparatively quickly, or at least they saw that in 10 years they're going to be a lot stronger. So they were like, okay, France hates us, we're on the come up. Russia is kind of fucked now, but it's gonna catch up. Britain is a superpower already, so we're already afraid of them. So if we're gonna have a war, and we're gonna have a war, we might as well do it now, because we actually have a chance. So that was really the reason why they did it. And so they attacked everyone, and they didn't really fight Britain. Britain just blocked all of trade, so it kind of fucked Germany economically, but they were really battling Europe on two sides, one on France and one on Russia. It was not fun. Like, the Germans were like, fuck, like, can we like do something? Can we like ease off the pressure? Like, fighting on two fronts, like, not fun. So then, they did a very weird, interesting thing. They started like a VC fund, a venture capital fund, for basically funding anyone who's trying to destabilize any of their enemies. So any revolutionary party, any like anarch, anything that can like put a fucking dent, little fucking sticks in the bicycle wheel, if you can fuck up something with the government of your country, we'll fund you. And they did it for pretty much everyone, France and Russia. So Germany goes on a scouting mission. For 3 years, they're just trying to find someone. They're like, can someone please? They're like investing in a bunch of startups, hoping that one of them hits the unicorn thing and solves all the problems. So Germany starts a scouting agency, scout people and parties. They say, hey, you have a pretty face. Would you like to star in a show called Please Destabilize Your Government, so that we don't have to fight it? Germany goes on a scouting mission for 3 years. So they're doing a little casting call. And so they fund everyone, and they get different returns on their investment. And they kind of realize that a lot of revolutionary parties don't actually do anything. They're good at burning money, like a lot of startups, but they don't really have any effect. And so Germany funds everyone, except Lenin, because he wasn't really popular at that time after all of the fucking weird things that he did. So they just didn't think that he's gonna succeed, because it was just like too fringe even for revolutionaries. So they were like, they gave him a little bit of money. They were like, okay, let's do it like a test run, like, I don't know, do something with this money. And he actually did very well. They were like, okay, this party is actually way more efficient and more competent and more effective at spending and using the money to actually get political leverage. And so he got on the radar. Okay, and now it's year 3 of the war, 1917. Russia is just fucked. Their soldiers barely have boots. They, let alone fucking ammunition, they put like little, pretty much like sandals with like little cloth in winter. Like people are really in a bad condition and they're just sending them in a meat grinder. So people are very unhappy. It's been going on for 3 years. People are dying, people are starving. And they're starving because they're using like the last trains that they have to ship any kind of ammunition instead of shipping bread again. The economy is collapsing, the army is collapsing. They're pretty much losing the war against Germany. And a bunch of women in St. Petersburg say, okay, guys, what the fuck? Let's, like, this can't continue. Let's do something about it. So they go and they protest. The Tsar now, almost by reflex, says, shoot them. The troops shoot them, but the crowd doesn't scatter this time. They shoot them and more people join in. The Tsar says, shoot them. Hundreds of people die, more people join in. The Tsar says, shoot them. And the troops say, actually, nah. And the Tsar says, okay. So he's like, well, I guess it was great talking to you. I'm out, and yeets off so he doesn't get killed. And that's it. That is the collapse of a 300-year dynasty in Russia. The troops just turn sides and go against the government. Lenin is in Switzerland, fucking going crazy. He's like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss the revolution again. It's happening. But this time, it's an actual systematic collapse. The economy is fucked, the army is fucked, everything's fucked. The Tsar is literally sent to Siberia by the people. He's gonna be killed in like a year. And Lenin is going crazy. He's like, okay, fuck, how do I get to Russia? He can't go to Russia because he's still like, there's still some kind of government intact. And so if he goes, he's gonna go to jail, he's gonna get shot in the head on arrival. Okay, zoom out. Lenin is in Switzerland, writing his shit, let me out, all that good stuff. He's like, no way I'm gonna miss the revolution again. Fuck, I have to go back to Russia. But he can't. It's really hard. He even tries to like fly some fucking plane, but it doesn't work. And the problem in the 1917 second revolution is that just as Lenin knew, once they toppled the Tsar, there was nothing to replace the regime. So they were like, okay, like, so now what? So Lenin is like, well, fuck, if he doesn't go now, something is gonna pop up eventually or bend back somehow. So he has to replace the system now. This is where a new Pokemon appears, and it's called the Soviets. While he's stuck in Switzerland, a weird thing happens. Two parallel partial governments ascend, and one is basically just lords and ministers, and they have like the legal right, but they don't have any power. And the other is the Soviets. What is the Soviet? It is just an organized, self-governing group with a leader or multiple. And Lenin sees that, and he's like, okay, so there's the legal government with no power, and there's the unofficial skeleton system with actual power. Why do they have power? Because if you have a factory and there's no government, you still have to run the factory, it has to operate. So you self-govern, you choose leaders and you say, okay, you we're going to listen to you. If you're stupid, we're going to replace you. And every single part of society at that time divides itself into those, compartmentalizes itself into those groups, into Soviets. That's why it was called Soviet Union later. And so Lenin sees that, and he's like, okay, interesting. And you have thousands of these. So you have thousands of Soviets of sizes of 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000. They all have their leaders. Like a city, a St. Petersburg Soviet has key people. A factory has key people. An army unit has key people. And so the lawyers and the ministers are like, hey guys, like listen to us. And the Soviets are like, shut the fuck up. We have the power, we decide what's happening. But they don't have any legal grounds because it's very unofficial. So this is 1915, 1917, the First World War. He starts studying Hegel. And Hegel is a German philosopher. Most philosophers were from Germany at the time. He's like a political philosopher. And this is the second key insight into Lenin understanding every decision that he makes. He already had the first insight, which was that you have to build the system that will replace the old system before it collapses. The engine, the system, the institution. But then he starts reading Hegel. And Hegel says that he helps him understand the second key insight, which is you don't just actually build the system or institution or engine, you capture the new organic, emerging, ascending system that appears as the old one collapses. What is that? Every revolutionary party at that time, and there were many, everyone was a revolutionary and their mom, they were all trying to capture the collapsing government. They were trying to put themselves in the regime and be the ministers and lawyers who will command everyone. Lenin looked at, okay, where's the actual power? And you can see where I'm going with this. He uniquely understood that the power lied in the Soviets, not in capturing the collapsing government, but capturing the emerging new system, which was the Soviets. Simultaneously, at this same time, Germany is getting really tense. What the fuck is happening in Russia? We have to act now. They say, okay, Lenin, high risk, high reward, fuck it. They put him in a train and they say, okay, we're gonna give you a path to go back into Russia. We'll protect you. Do your thing. We're gonna protect you and sponsor you. And so Lenin does that. They ship him to St. Petersburg. He comes out of the train, climbs up a car, and says, all power to Soviets. Not me, not the Bolsheviks, his party. All power to Soviets. Because he already understood that that's where the power lies. Because he knew that if you can get control of the Soviets, you can actually get control of the whole country, because the Soviets control everything. He says, all power to the new emerging system, the Soviets. All power to the Soviets. He says, peace, land, bread. Peace, so the soldiers like him. Land, so that the farmers like him. And bread, so that everyone likes him. And he says, fuck the lawyers and admins who are pretending to be the government. Soviets is the new government. So the Bolshevik Party 10x's in its size in 6 months. How does he do that? He goes to every single Soviet and just tries to get into the leadership position of those. There's a Bolshevik Party, his cadre, his Navy SEAL team he's been building for fucking 15 years. He says, okay, go to every single Soviet, try to get the key positions so that we actually control the Soviets, we control the messaging in those groups. And he does it, and he says, make sure that they actually like the Bolsheviks, that they support the Bolsheviks, that the Soviet is Bolshevik friendly. And he does it better than any other party. But other parties are like catching up. They're like, okay, what the fuck, we're slipping. This is important. We should kind of do the same. But Lenin is just better. He understands the messaging better. He understands what the people want better, the Soviets, and he does it successfully. And just so you understand, the fucking mayhem that was happening at the time, the provisional means transient or means temporary government. The 1917, after the Tsar, they have like the two government, that the so-called leaders were like, okay, we're kind of fucked in the war. Honestly, both sides were fucked, but Russia was like, okay, we're really fucked, but let's try just one more time. And so they send an offensive towards Germany, and they lose 500,000 soldiers in 2 weeks. And this is 1917, and people are like, what the fuck? And so Lenin, at that time, he actually does a very interesting thing where people try the revolution for the third time after the failed offensive. They're, again, emotion, on hype. They go, okay, this transient government, fuck these guys, just fucking kill everyone. But Lenin says, wait guys, we're not ready yet. We don't have control of the key Soviets just yet. We're almost there, but we just need more support. And he's right. And so he says, just chill, just wait a little bit. And the revolutionary says, chill with the revolution for a little bit. And he waits another 3 months. By waits, I mean he just goes to every fucking Soviet and just gets the messaging out. And by the October of 1917, it's called the October Revolution. The revolution, the fourth attempt, happens. And this time it looks very, very different. So Lenin literally just walks into the Winter Palace and says to the people there, guys, you're all arrested. I'm in power now. The Bolsheviks are in control over the government. Get the fuck out. and the ministers and lawyers are like, they're like, oh man, not in front of my crap rangoons. Really? Right in front of my crap rangoons. So, yes, he's like, yeah, sorry guys, get the fuck out. And so there's not a shot fired. Like he just walks into the Winter Palace. No shootout, he just walks in, takes control, that's it. And so he's 47 and that's it. He takes control of Russia with 0 shots fired, the pure organizational skills and messaging. Many revolutionaries and many revolution attempts have been made before. And this is the only one that succeeded at the time to topple a 300-year-old dynasty after it collapsed economically and army-wise. Lenin was the only one who was prepared for it. He seized the moment. He had a replacement. He captured the emerging new system, which was the Soviets, and he took control of the empire. When looking at people like Lenin, you kind of have to compartmentalize them into whether they are revolutionaries or operators, and it's very clear who's who. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about the attributes in my subsequent videos, but briefly, people who are mission-driven, people who are not hedonic, and people who are generally very ascetic and can be more associated with a ram, a battering ram. Those are the revolutionaries. And you also have the operators who are less assertive, but are exceptionally good at operating complex machines. And you would categorize that as an octopus, perhaps, as someone who can manage very complex things. The reason why I'm saying this is that really the story of Lenin kind of ends once he's in power. First of all, because he just dies 6 years later, but also conceptually it ends because he serves the role of a revolutionary, which is a pretty self-sacrificial role of opening the door so that an operator can walk through that door and manage the system. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about that operator and one of the greatest operators in the 20th century, or really of all time, Trotsky. And so it's this little teaser. And you need both. You really need both revolutionaries operators. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Demis Hassabis, Sam Altman, Mao, Xi Jinping, Steve Jobs, Tim Cook, or Steve Jobs, Wozniak. These are archetypal revolutionaries and operators, and they serve very different roles, but you need both. Lenin dies in 6 years in 1924. He pushes his ideology, he ends the war with Germany. He gives the land back to 100 million people. A lot of bad things happen. He doesn't really live to see them, but he starts kind of seeing him because he's responsible for a lot of it. He is shot at, like the year that he goes into power, pretty badly. He gets shot in the neck, and the bullet actually stays in his neck, but it doesn't kill him. But he gets very, very ruthless after that. He really clamps down on policing. He starts Cheka, which is the future KGB, which is kind of like a police state. So he's very, very strict, very, very cruel. And a famine breaks out, a lot of bad things, a collapsing economy, and a lot of people die. About 10 million people. I'm not really interested in that, so I'm not gonna go too much into it because I'm mostly interested in the archetypal role or personality. And his archetypal role is opening the door, ramming through a wall, and then letting people behind him through the entrance. And he does it successfully. And in this video, I explained how. Next time, we're gonna talk about Trotsky, the greatest operator of 20th century, who was the man beside Lenin, the only man that Lenin actually respected. The greatest revolutionary, the greatest operator, and you need both. Right, ciao, ciao.